Hello, parents. I wanted to take a minute to explain math grades to you, especially now that the first unit has been entered. I wanted to explain how and why I do the things I do. So, I use standards-based grading, and so each assessment, instead of putting it in as one lump grade, you'll see that this assessment had 7 separate grades inside. So, because it was addressing 7 different standards. I use standards-based grading because I'm able to identify the strengths and the needs of every student. Um, the grade book for me is a running record, and so when you see a grade that is less than proficient, which is considered 70% or less in Edmond Public Schools, then you know that I'm going to be coming back and reteaching that to your student, and they will get a chance to retest on that standard along the way. Um, I will keep comments off to the side. We're going to talk about that, but I do my best to use my grade book to clearly communicate with you about things that are happening. Um, Overall, it's easier for me to think of this as a sport where our in-class work, when we are building models and doing the practice pages and things like that, it's like baseball practice. We they have If you're at baseball practice, you have your coach there talking you through it, you have your teammates talking you through it, you can stop and, um, ask questions along the way. Where at the game, it's live, it's independent, and it's showing what you know, and same thing with standards-based grading. In class, um, it's helping us get to our mastery stage. So, with that being said, I've taken just a few random screenshots of my gradebook to explain how things look inside. I don't have access to the parent side, so you are looking from the teacher side, but I hope this helps. So, here is just a quick random snapshot inside my gradebook, and this is all of the standards that were assessed on the Unit 1 um, assessment. So, if you look at the grade book, if you look at whoever this student is right here, you can see that they have many strengths, but there is an area, writing equations, that I need to come back and address. If I just took this as one grade, this student would probably have an A or a B, and I wouldn't know exactly what they struggled with. So by standards, I'm able to see, okay, I need to come help this student with writing equations. Um, so if you off in the comments, which I'm going to show you in just a second, um, and it's also nice because my gradebook does, for the most part, color code it. On your side, I know it doesn't. But um, if it's empty like it is here, the student has not finished their assessment or was absent that day. Um, does not mean it's missing, it just means that haven't graded it yet, or the student is still completing that assessment. One thing to look at is up top, the day that it was due. So, um, earlier this week, I put in everything that was gonna be coming up on the assessment, and now that it's graded, it is in there. If a score is less than proficient, again, that's 70% or less, I will write off in the comments that I see that, and that I will be reteaching and reassessing or retesting this specific standard with your student. Once I have retested, I will then let you know what day I retested and that the score has been updated. And if it's still not passing, or proficient, excuse me, then I will still be reteaching. I will not give up on this standard. Um, Unfortunately, no matter what, even if I'm still reteaching and retesting, at the end of the 9 weeks, I have to submit the grades where they're at. But that doesn't mean that I'm done re teaching that standard to your child. I'm just no longer able to change that inside the grade book. One other thing is that in a side of a grade, you could see letters. Okay, so if it says M, which none of these do, but if it says M, that means missing. Missing would be calculated as a 0. So typically, if there's a missing grade in there, their overall grade is not stellar because there's something in there calculated as a 0. If it's an L, it was turned in late. There's no deductions for that, but it's just so that we can keep track of that behavior of turning work in on time. And an I means that it's incomplete. Maybe I have graded it or a teacher has graded it. If it's not in math, it could be another teacher that's put an I in there, that they've graded it and they've given it back to the student for some reason. It's incomplete. Again, there's no deduction for something to be incomplete. It's just a way for us to keep track of everything. Now, one last thing that I wanted to talk about is the way that I put the grade in the grade book for you. Okay, from my understanding on the parent's end, you can see the entire name that I put in there. So, for evaluating if an equation is true or false, and then I put the standard number, from my understanding, you can see the entire title, which I put in there exactly what your child is being assessed on. I feel like this is a good way to communicate because this tells you exactly what your child needs or has a strength in or doing well in, instead of workbook page 12. That does not help you know what that your child needs or what they're working on. Now, the reason I put in this the standard number at the end is so that you automatically have a resource to help your student. Okay, this number is based off the Oklahoma Academic Standards, but Frontier has purchased a license for you and or for your child, excuse me, with a product called IXL. Okay, and I'm going to get out of IXL, and your child has their IXL login for inside their homework or take-home folder. So if they are needing help on this specific standard or whichever standard is in the grade book, when your child logs into IXL, and I'm logged in as a student right now, it automatically, there's tabs up here, so you're in the learning tab, but across the top, you can click on the Oklahoma State Standards. And when you do that, my internet will work, you can find that exact standard that your child was needing help with, and there's an automatic resource for them to be working on at home. So we want to go to the 5th grade standards and math. Nope. And so that Infinite Campus told us that we needed help on 5A22. These are all. So A stands for algebraic reasoning. Here's 5A1, 5A2, 2. So here is 2 things that your child can be working on at home, and they would just click on it and they can start working on it right away. Okay, the thing I like about IXL is, I'm going to intentionally get this wrong, sorry, whatever student I am, but off to the side, it'll show you their progress and how long they've worked on this standard. My internet's being slow, I apologize. But if I get the answer wrong, it will tell me why I got it wrong. So if I read that, I can learn from my mistakes. It's a great resource at home. So I hope this helps as we are trying to speak the same language at school. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me.